Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. So today we are going to talk about Java classes and objects actually. So we are going to talk about Java classes and objects. So let's quickly discuss why we really need this Java classes and these objects actually. So let's take this example. In the previous videos, we have discussed the primitive data types in Java. Let's say, we want to represent somebody's name. We can write like, string name equal to Mike. If we want to represent, let's say, somebody's age, we can use int and say, 40. If we want to represent like, some kind of price for something, we can use double price equal to, 29.99, those kind of stuff. So these are primitive data types. They can represent one thing. If you want to represent like a name, you have to use a string. If you want to represent age, you can use integer. If you want to represent the price, you can use double, because you need like some decimal places in the price, so you can use this double. Okay, let's take this example. Now let's say you want to represent somebody's address. Well, if you really want, you can do something like this too, because address is, you can write 123, Main Street, New York. I'm just making up this one and some kind of zip code here. I mean, you could write it this way, but this is not very nice actually, because address is not really a string if you think about it, because address has various parts here actually. So address has, like, you can see this 123 Main Street. You could always say, oh, these are different parts of the address. Let's say you can say address line 1 equal to 123 Main Street. Okay, you can say string, then you can say this is address line 1. You can say string, and you can say city equal to New York, string state equal to NY. You can say string zip equal to 1050. Okay, so you see the difference here. So what we are trying to do actually, we could put address like this, but this is just a one string. The address is presented as one string, and which is not really very structured way. Is, you put everything in one, and that's not the nice way to put address. So what we did is we just try to break it into small pieces here, because we know this is really, few pieces which are put together. So we know there's address line 1, which is 123 Main Street, or you could even have something like another address line here, because let's say you stay in an apartment building, you might say, apartment 255. So you see this one. So basically this address is not a one single string, but it is a 5 different parts of the address. Now the question comes, if you want to represent an address, you can use this whole thing like this, 5 different things, but these are all individual pieces actually. These are all individual pieces, they are not together, but you want to hold this all kind of together, all of them actually. So, and we know that we don't have a data structure to represent all those 5, because we have the data structure, I should not use the term data structure, but the data types. So we know that we can represent this individually. Each one of them are string, 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 string. Now it could be, if you want to, it could be int too, but let's, for simplicity, let's assume it's a string. Now the problem is we can represent a string, but this all things, 5 of them, they need to be stayed together actually. You can just keep them in individual variables, because this all 5 should stay together. So what we can do is we can put them in a container so that all 5 stays together actually. So what we are going to do is we are going to let's say we are going to create a new class here. So I'm going to call this class address, and I think you can just keep whatever is the default here. I'm going to create a class called address, and I'm going to put all those individual pieces together in this class. Let's say I'm going to call it, let's say you can call it address line 1, just whatever we did, you can call it address line 2. String you can call city, string state, string chip. So I'm just going to save it. So what I did is let me do it side by side so that we can easily see it actually. So okay, so if you see, what I did is I created this address class and put all these individual pieces in this class here. Now what we did, now we have one container. This is a whole container, and you can think of this container as a custom data type. Like we have individual data types like string or integer or double. This is a custom data type we made actually ourselves, because we need to represent something which is all the pieces fit or group together, and in order to represent that we need to create this custom data type. So now what is this custom data type? So we call it a class. So once we have this custom data type, what we can do here, so let me just get rid of this stuff here. So what we can do from the custom data type is we can start creating the objects out of this custom data types. So this is a class. The custom data type is that's what its class is. Class is just a template. It's a template for creating objects actually. So what we can do here is, let's say we want to create, let's say we have this address 1. So I will just explain what we are trying to do here. So what we did is, so you see this, if you say, let me just give you a little example. So let's say string name equal to Mike, so what we do, we declare a variable here. So same is address 1, and what kind of variable is that? We call it say address. But in case of classes, what we're trying to do is we are creating this variable equal and new, and what this new does is it creates an object of this address class. So that's the kind of syntax how you create an object out of this class. So basically address 1 is the object. So we don't use classes directly, we always create objects out of that one, and then we use them, the objects. So we created address 1, and what we can do is, so when we create with this new address, we didn't put any parameters, nothing. So we just create an empty object right now. Empty object mean it doesn't have any address line 1, it doesn't have the real data in it. So what we can do is, so we can say address 1 dot address line 2, we can assign the values to this one. So we can say 123 Main Street, let's say address 2, sorry, address 1, address line 2 equal to apartment 455, address 1 dot city is New York 1, state equal to New York, and then we can do address 1 again, zip equal to 10050. So you see, now we have created an object called address 1, and we have populated all the attributes or properties of this one. Now this object is fully populated. And let's say if you want to really print, let's say if you can print this object actually if you want, but I'm going to just print address 1 zip. I'm going to print only the zip code. So you can say just address 1 dot zip, and So I'm going to save it and run it here. See, address one GP equal to this one. So you created one object. Now let me just get rid of this comment here. So now let's say you want to create another object. So let's say this is, let's say, let me, I'm just going to change the name. Let's say rename. I'm just doing, let's say I want to call it home address. Okay, that was a home address, somebody's home address. Now let's say you also have an office address. So what we can do is I just copied here, and I want to call it, instead of home, I want to call it office address. And I think I need to change all of them here. And let's say we change to 445. Atlas Boulevard, and you can just say some office address. You could have like 102, and let's say since New York, and so let's say different zip code. I'm just making up the zip codes. So you can see, this was one object, this was another object, but you are creating these objects from this address only, the same. So now if I print it again, you see address one zip line is this, and this address one zip line for this one, second one. So basically we have two objects, one this one this one, and you are creating those objects from this class itself actually. So that's the way you can create objects from the classes. In real world, this is just the simplest class I put here, but in real world this class will also have some methods here which will really operate on this data actually. So we'll go through those in one of our next tutorials, but for simplicity I'm just going to keep it just simple here. So we have just this address class. Another thing I want to just do is, so basically you're creating all these classes here, and you can just print. So you can create as many objects as you want, but you don't use this class address. This is nothing, this is just a template, and with the help of template you can create different objects. So right now you have two objects, address objects. You can create as many as address objects you want out of this one. So that's just basic concept of this Java classes and objects. So in future videos we are going to go and take a different example where we're going to start doing our methods in the classes, and how to use those methods. So we will just stay tuned for the stuff. So for now I think I'll just keep it here, and I'm going to just end this video. So see you in the next video. Thank you, have a good one.